Welcome to the Sarah Watt Show. Da, 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 da. I need to make some like theme music for these. So hi, it's Sunday evening here in Australia, and I've poured myself a glass of champagne in one of my silver goblets, purchased from the Antique Guild in Brisbane, Australia. And today's show, I wanted to chat to you guys about finances. Ooh, money! So I don't know what that brings up for you guys. Like sometimes money is something that excites people, gets you a little bit freaked out, especially, you know, when it's money in your wallet, it's always fun. But when you're talking about your actual finances, sometimes it can be a little scary. So I wanted to come on this week and talk to you guys about some of my favorite tools from Access Consciousness about money and finances. So welcome those of you who have joined already. Hi Vera, hi Anne, hi Victoria. If you guys have any questions that pop up for you during this time that we're here together, please post them. Hello my love. Please post them in the chat and I will endeavour to answer them. And yeah, I wanted to come on basically, so there's a lot, right, around finances and money. I don't know about you guys. Good. It now excites you. Awesome. And yeah, like, so since working with Access and obviously having very much Access as my life, everything's changed. You know, it really permeates every aspect of my life and continues to do so. I mean, I'm in the Relationships Done Different class at the moment with Simone Milasas and Brendan Watt. They've split it up into 5 small segments of 3 hours, which I'm kind of grateful for, because I was talking to Simone today and seems like after every Access class or during every Access class, I'm like, holy shit, like we just seem to keep going to places with these classes that I didn't really think it was possible that they could be so much more available every single time. And I mean, the last class we did was a week ago and the class before that was a week ago. So I'm truly grateful for these tools. And that's what that's what I talk about a lot, because it's what's really actually created and contributed the most in my life every fucking day. And even though this is a relationship class, I mean, relationship basically is defined as the distance between 2 things. So you can definitely do and probably have got a relationship with your finances and your money as well, because, yeah, right. Thank goodness for Access. Because if you have a distance between you and your finances, then you're in relationship with them. So, and what if that wasn't a judgment too? What if it was just an awareness of where you function from with your finance? So then you can start looking at what you would actually like to create as your financial reality. So I remember when I first started doing some Joy of Business classes and classes with Simone Milasas, and she talked about this thing called my own financial reality. And I was like, what the hell does that even mean? Like how can my reality around money be different to the next person? Like surely it's all the same in a way, but no. So I've learned over the years to start tapping into what actually I am aware of with finance, what I know about money, and what is fun for me, what creates my reality with finances. So I actually work in a lot of different aspects of Access businesses around money. So I pay a lot of people, I do a lot of financial stuff, I work out a lot of people's deals on classes and things like that. So, and I know, like when we were in live classes, you know, before the world sort of closed down and went isolation styles, cool. I'll look at that too, Victoria. Yeah, when we were live in classes, another one of my jobs would be to pay people. So sometimes if we were paying people in classes, we would pay some people in cash from the class. And one of my favorite things to do was we make them up in a little envelope and we pay the person in the class. And it always brought such a joy to my world. And even now, you know, I have a couple of staff that work for me and I pay them every month. And it excites me so much to pay people. And I know that that's probably not in many people's realities with finances. Probably most people, when it comes to paying people, either look for, you know, a way to create separation, like whether that's, you know, looking at was it worth it to pay them that, or did I pay them enough, did I pay them too much? But for me, it's always been this place of joy to pay people. So I kind of started to get that I was a little bit different with some of this stuff as well. And with that awareness, really got to look at the other places where I was really different with finances and with money. So Victoria said, I didn't really value the Access tools until I realized they worked. They are crazy easy, exactly. And so what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight, and there are a bunch of tools in Access around money and finances. There's 2 books in particular that I wanted to mention as well on this call, on this Facebook Live, I mean. And I'll get to that as well. But you know, there's a bunch of books in Access around money, and some of these tools are going to seem really weird. But what I would say is if it either feels light and fun to play with them, and even if you've been in Access for ages, there's probably tools around money that you've either resisted and reacted to, like, no, that could never work for me, or that's a waste of time, or it's too easy, or something like that. So what I would ask is any tool that you have a resistance to is usually the one for you. It's probably one of the ones that's going to create the most change. And also if it feels light, if it feels fun, then why not play with it and see, like, what's the worst that could happen? You're not going to be in any worse a situation you are now. And if you are, then you just change it again. So how does it get any easier than that? But tonight I wanted to pick 3 in particular, because why not? 3 that we can look at and start playing with. So just a little refreshment. And actually, let's add a 4th as well. Let me talk quickly about the fun factor. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but talking about money and finances kind of makes me happy. But what I also know is that I will avoid it sometimes, especially with my finances and doing things like updating my income doc or keeping track of my expenses and things like that. So what I've found works really well for me is to insert a bit of fun in it. So I generally have a little date with my finances. I try and do it once a week, but I also hate sticking to things and I get bored very quickly. So I do book a few hours aside in my calendar every week. And if I stick to it, I stick to it. And if I don't, I try to do it at another point. So what I try and do is, if it's in the evening, then I will get out one of my amazing silver goblets and fill it with some delicious champagne. Or if I'm not drinking, then even fill it with, sparkling water or something like that. Maybe even do my hair, pretend I'm like on an actual date, put some perfume on, make my body happy because my body likes wearing nice things and smelling good. And then I sit down and have a little date with my finances. So as the 4th tool, as a little, preface to all of this, what if you could insert the fun factor into your finances as well? So the first actual tool I wanted to talk to you about was the 10% account. Yeah, cool, Victoria. So I'm exactly the same. And the funny thing is so Victoria said in the chat she has a teeny bit of resistance with finances. So I generally find that as well. And what I would ask as well is is that actually yours too? Because I don't know many people apart from accountants and bookkeepers, those really sort of nerdy people with numbers that love to sink into the figures and the financial side of things. I bet you love making money. I bet that's one of the things that lights you up about money. I bet you love opening your wallet and seeing it full of money. So the 3rd tool I'll bring up might actually address this a little bit more. So stick around for that one. But what I wanted to talk about first was the 10% account. So this is one of the tools in Access that you learn pretty early on. If you do anything to do with money or finances, you'll find this tool quite early on. And Gary came up with it, I think, well, this is the way I see it. If you go to church or you have a religion, a lot of the time they want you to tithe to the church or tithe some of your income to your God or to your religion. So Gary invented this or created this as a way to tithe to the church of you. So basically what it means is 10% out of everything you earn, absolutely everything you earn gets put into something. So it might be a bank account. It might be a shoebox that lives under your bed. It might be purchasing things, but we will look at what that might look like in a minute. But basically the point is to have 10% of everything that comes into your life put aside as a tithing to the Church of You. And what this has created for me is the sense of having money. So it's not the sense of having money to buy things or having money to spend on a rainy day or having money to, you know, buy another horse or something else that's equally fun for me. It's about actually just having money that's always constantly there. Like, it's like this feeling of, I don't know, to me it makes me feel damn good, like on the inside, and I love watching it grow. And my 10% actually is in a lot of different places. So I have an account in my everyday internet banking when I log in. It's called the Honor account, and it's an honouring of me. So every time I get paid into my bank or my PayPal, I move 10% straight away and I put that into my 10% account. The other way I have my 10% account is in cash. So again, when we were traveling a lot and working at classes, we might get paid in cash, or I might have cash on me for some reason. So what I do then is I have a section, let me just show you, in my wallet. So the front section here is just my cash to, you know, my cash from the bank to spend. And then in the back here is where I keep my 10% account. So what I love about it too is it's in a lot of different currencies, because I get money in all different currencies, and it's fun for me to have. So I've got euros, a lot of euros actually, which I love because they're like one of the highest valued currencies in the world most of the time. I've got Mexican pesos. I've got reais from Brazil. I've got Chinese money, which is called, I can't remember. I've got Turkish money, which I can't remember either. Oh, lira, Turkish lira. I've got money from the UAE. It's so fun. I've got Malaysian money, ringgit, I think it's called. More Malaysian money. I've got New Zealand money. I've got Argentinian money. I love Argentina, one of my favorite countries. I've got Singapore dollars, I've got Japanese yen, I've got American dollars, more Japanese yen, more American dollars. Oh, look at this bad boy. This is a 500 euro note. So basically this guy here, they don't make these anymore. They stopped printing them. It's worth 500 euros, which probably in Australia is maybe, I don't know, $750 or something like that. And that just lives in my wallet, and I add to it. So, I love having a lot of cash in my wallet. So I don't spend that, or sometimes like if I need some euro and I'm like stuck somewhere in a European country, I know it's there. So if I do spend it, I'll take it out of my euro to use, and then I'll go straight to my bank account. I'll work out what the difference, like what the conversion is, because my Australian bank account is in Aussie dollars. And then I'll transfer it from my everyday account into my 10% account. So I call it my honor account because that's what it is for me. So I see all of that money as an honoring of myself. So I don't ever cheat myself on it. And that's not to say I never have. There's been a lot of times where I've gotten to a certain place with my 10% account and I've spent it. But I think now it's probably been not super long. It hasn't been ages since I've spent some out of it, but it's been at least this year and maybe into a little bit of last year that I have only added to my 10% account. And sometimes I even put a little bit extra in. Like 10% is sort of in my world the minimum in a way. So yeah, and when I used to spend it, sometimes I would judge myself. But I think when I got over actually judging myself for spending it is when I stopped spending it too. So the funny thing about your point of view creating your reality too is like if your point of view was it was truly just there to honor you, maybe it would be a lot easier to create it and not spend it as well. So I don't look at it as money to spend. I don't look at it as money to buy things. I don't look at it as money to save me or get me out of a jam. I look at that money as an honoring of me. So it's a different energy. It's a totally different energy to the money that is in my everyday banking account or the money that's in my tax account or something like that. So that's the 10% account, my first tool to start playing with when it comes to money. Just going to stop and rehydrate. And then my next tool that I wanted to talk to you about, is there a first time I had money in the bank account? Cool. And even if it's like, so with the 10% account as well, it's really just 10%. Like that's, so say you get $10 for something, put $1 aside and you can have like a shoebox under your bed. Oh, the other thing as well is 2 things you can do. If you find that you're spending your 10% account, when my brother Brendan and Simone were together, Brendan started doing a 10% account and found that he was spending it a lot. So he said to Simone, who was his partner at the time, I want you to take my 10% account and don't let me spend it. I'm going to come to you and I'm going to ask you to give it back to me, but I really need you to say no to me. So he did that. And one day he went to her and said, I need that money. And she was like, no. And he's like, you know, he got like all like, oh, it's my money. And she was like, no, you asked me not to do this. I'm going to honor you and I'm going to honor your money and I'm not giving it to you. So that was a big turning point for him. So if you find you're spending it and that would help, maybe phone a friend, get someone to give you a hand and give the money to them and ask them to not give it back to you. The other thing is you can buy things with your 10% account. But what I would look at here is, so as well as giving it to someone, what happened with Brendan was the moment he sort of got over that and sort of relinquished control in a way with the money, and also once the money got to a certain amount, you kind of don't forget about it. It's always there and it's always exciting, but you shift from this place of it being money that you can spend to just money that you can have. So once you get to that place of having a certain amount in your 10%, you're probably going to be less, inclined to want to spend it. But if you do have money there and you want to invest it in things with intrinsic value. So they're things that are only ever going to increase in value. So don't buy a horse with it because horses generally don't increase in value, although they can, but they cost you money. You've got to feed them. You've got to do this. Don't buy a car with it because they go down in value. There's not many models of car out there that you can buy and 5 minutes later, it's not worth less than it was when you first purchased it. So what I'm talking about is things like this, like buy gold, buy jewelry, buy, silver goblets, buy gold bullion, buy silver bullion. You could invest it in things. A lot of investments do have like a certain amount of risk factor. So what I would say is follow the energy with that and ask questions as well. So look at like, okay, is this good? Because remember, it's an honor account. That's what I call it. It's a 10% account because that's how much it is. But for me, I always refer to it as my honor account because that's what it's there for. It's there to honor me. So if you're going to spend it on something, to invest it or to buy pretty things, ask the money, or ask you, is this actually an honoring of me and my money? And if you want to buy beautiful things that are intrinsic in value and will increase, go to the antiqueguild.com.au. That's where I got this beautiful necklace, the goblets, these gold earrings. I've got a bunch of amazing things from the Antique Guild. And we're also doing some online shows now because we were live in classes, obviously, but now we're starting to do some online stuff. So we're going to have another online guild show in May, maybe 2 actually. And Chris will post them on the Antique Guild website. So maybe subscribe to their mailing list, and they've also got an Instagram page. So then you can jump online and buy pretty things, maybe with your 10% account or your honor account, or maybe just with your money. So how does it get any better than that? Okay, second tool is destroying it and creating everywhere you've uninvited money into your life today. So this is a cool one to do at nighttime. And you can do it all throughout the day as well. Like, when you have that moment of like, something pops into your awareness that you want to buy, or maybe you're at a restaurant and you're looking at the bottles of wine. Well, you're not at a restaurant at the moment. Maybe you're shopping online for wine and you see a nice bottle of wine and it's a bottle of wine you've had before at a restaurant or at a friend's house, and you're like, oh, I remember how good that was and how much my body enjoyed it. But the price of the wine is $100 for the bottle or $50 for the bottle, or whatever you would call an expensive bottle of wine. And you go to that place of, oh, it's too expensive, I can't afford it. The energy you create with that is an uninvitation of money into your world. It's a way you uninvite money, is where you go to the place of, I can't afford that, it's too expensive. it doesn't mean that you have to go and buy that expensive bottle of wine, but if your point of view is, I can't afford it right now, but what would it take? Like that question again, what would it take? And what do I need to add to my life to create it so I can have that expensive bottle of wine every time my body desires it? So what I love to do at nighttime and throughout the day, like I had a few thoughts today and over the last few days where I went to that place of, oh, it's really expensive or I can't afford that. And I was like, okay, everywhere I've uninvited money into my life, I destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So if you've uninvited money anywhere in your life today, you don't have to think of all the times. Run it at nighttime, maybe before you go to bed, or just sit there and have a moment to destroy and uncreate anywhere that you've been an uninvitation to money. Because money's like us. It loves to party. It loves to have a good time. And when you're joyful and when you're that invitation, more money will start showing up. I promise you guys, like this stuff is weird and fucking crazy and it works. And these are just 3 tools that I'm going over with you on this Facebook Live. There are fucking hundreds of these in Access that you can start to play with. So what if it was just that? What if it was just playing with some of this stuff? And if it works, it works. And like I said at the start, if it doesn't, what's the worst that can happen? So the third tool that I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight is getting aware of your finances, like getting aware of where you are right now so you can start asking questions to get to that target of where you want to be. So financial awareness is a huge thing, and Victoria, it was like what you were mentioning at the start as well. This is usually the place people will avoid, is having total financial awareness of their life, their business, but it doesn't have to be hard. And I mean, Simone again has been such a huge inspiration with this stuff. Her dad growing up was an accountant. And Simone, if any of you guys know her, have met her, is a highly creative person. Like she is imagine the most creative person you know and put them on steroids, and that's sort of the ballpark that she's in. She's constantly creating. And so her dad would talk to her about, having this financial awareness of her life. And she would be like, no, that's boring. I just want to create things. And he said, look, if you don't have this awareness, the creation is never going to get there. It's this place where the creation is it's this much, but having the financial awareness can actually put so much more space into your creations as well, because it just gives you a sense of where you are and where you are asking to go. And for me, I've been doing this all day and it really makes me tired as fuck. What have you been doing all day? Sorry, I might have missed. So let me know, Victoria. So you said I've been doing this all day and you mean avoiding your finances. And what I would say with this, look at what is required for you to do this and what's required for it to be fun for you. So maybe get a creation buddy, like a financial creation buddy, someone else that you can do this with. And maybe put aside 2-3 hours a week where you jump on a Zoom together, or if they live anywhere near you, you can now, most places of the world, you can have 2 people together. Oh my God. And what if that works for you? I mean, for me, I'd rather just sit here by myself, have my glass of champagne, but also talking to you guys. This is creating a lot for me. Yeah, exactly. So you've been avoiding seeing where you're at with your money, and you said it's making you tired. Yeah. So anything you're resisting is going to make you tired. Anything you're resisting is going to not create. Anything I resist, I'm like, oh my God, I just want to lay down and have a nap now. So what can you inject into this to make it more fun for you? There's a clearing that, yeah. So what about this? What if you started running this one, Victoria? What can I insert into my financial reality that will be perfect for creating the greatest future in the next 2 years? So that one again, what can I insert into my financial reality that will be perfect for creating the greatest future in the next 2 years? And what if you just started asking that? And obviously there's not going to be an answer. There'll be hopefully some energetic sparkles, I don't know, some awareness, some lightness, some things will pop up, but get yourself out of the linearity of it. Ask some crazy fucking questions and see what shows up. And then look at what creates the ease around the awareness for you. So for me, I have a couple of Google Docs, like actually one main Google Doc, which is basically an Excel spreadsheet that you can access from anywhere because it lives online on a server. And in there I have a tab for all of my income, and then I have a tab for my expenses, and then I have a tab for like my my recurring things. So I've got my 2 horses in there, Costa Rica and Houston, and the board that I pay for them. I've got the staff in there that I pay. I've got all the things that come out of my account every month, like all my subscriptions for my business and all that sort of stuff. The other thing that created a huge amount of clarity and ease with this is I hired a bookkeeper. And I hired one bookkeeper, and she was brilliant and amazing, but it was never really a super good match. Like there was always just something there that was a little bit off, and without getting into it or making it significant, it wasn't really working. So I started asking questions around that, and then I thought, I want to hire this other lady. And I woke up one day and just did it. I didn't fucking dilly-dally. I didn't be like, I'm going to feel bad about this. I called one and said, hey, do you want to come and work for me? What do you charge? How many hours a week? Would this be fun for you? Yes, yes, yes. And then I called the other lady and said, hey, this has been awesome. I fucking adore you, and I'm going to stop using you as my bookkeeper. So what I would also say is get yourself a good bookkeeper, because if you have one and they're excited about money, like this bookkeeper that I use now is excited about playing with my money. She's excited about getting all of my finances in order for me. And that makes me happy. And I also hired an accountant as well, a really good accountant. I don't need to speak to them very much, but I know they're there, and I know every quarter when it's time to lodge my BAS statement, which is what we do here in Australia for businesses, your business activity statement, I know it's taken care of. So yeah, who else can you add to your finances that would contribute to them as well? And what if you didn't have to do it all alone? So you've got the tools of access, would it be fun to have a financial buddy, someone to catch up with once a week and talk about, how was your week? What expenses did you have? Sit down and do your spreadsheets together in person or over Zoom. See, she's been doing her spreadsheet today as well. Set yourself up with a spreadsheet, something that you can easily track things on. Hire yourself a bookkeeper. And with your bookkeeper as well, start getting a profit and loss statement every month. So what they can do with that is whatever system they use for your accounting. I use a system called an online program called Xero, Xero. We use it for Access. I use it for Simone and Brennan's business. I use it for my business. And because everything is in there, basically once a month, I can have my bookkeeper give me a profit and loss. So that what that tells me is everything that's come in, everything that's gone out, and where the stuff that went out went. So it categorizes it right down to business expenses, personal expenses. And then from there, once you start having this financial clarity, this financial awareness, then comes in the ask. So say, for instance, if I sit down and I do my finances, and this month I brought in, let's make it easy and say $10,000. So I look at that and I'm like, okay, so $10,000 is what I brought in. Okay, what does it cost me to run my life? So I've either got my spreadsheet here or my profit and loss statement in front of me, and I see, okay, so my expenses were, $7,000 a month, which probably mine would be at least almost what I'm earning, because I like pretty things and I like yummy things for my body. So if you're looking at that and you're like, okay, so I was bringing in 10,000, my expenses were around 7,000 or whatever. Now, what do I want to ask for? So if I could sit down now and ask, in 6 months' time, what would I like this to be like? And out of that, $7,000 a month of expenses, what would you like to add there as well? Like, is it enough to cover that nice bottle of wine or a nice bottle of champagne? Do you go out? Do you love to go and eat when we can? Eat at a nice restaurant once a week. So if that's something you enjoy and you're not currently financially, capable of doing that, that's where you need to add it into your ask. So get aware of your income, get aware of your expenses, and then what is your ask for the next 6 months? and look at your expenses, look at what you'd like to be spending, and factor into that your 10% account, factor into that savings, factor into it if you like to have a big Christmas every year where your family comes over. Like, why would you not put that money aside every month so at the end of the year you have $5,000 to spend on Christmas and buy everyone presents if that's what you like, or an overseas trip every year, or whatever that looks like to you. Factor that into your expenses and then put forth your ask. So if at the moment, for instance, I'm earning $10,000 a month, what would it take by the end of this year to, up that to $15,000 a month? And start asking. And then again, every night, destroy and uncreate everywhere I've uninvited money into my life today. And, what can I add to my life? What can I insert into my financial reality that will be perfect for creating the greatest future in the next 2 years? Because I don't know about you guys, money isn't everything. It definitely doesn't buy happiness. It definitely doesn't buy, the joy that, the earth and all those things that you don't pay anything for brings for you. But it's fucking fun and it's nice to have, and it's nice to be able to take people out and to spend it on your body and to buy nice things and to have the things in your life that you love. So, and also it's awesome for creating more consciousness in the world, because hey, I don't know about you guys, but when I see a person with a lot of money, I generally want to know what the hell they're up to. What are they doing? What are they choosing? What are they creating in their life to have that money? So if you were bringing in $1 million a year, would that invite more people to want to know about you? And if it was inviting more people to want to know about you, would they find out more about access or consciousness or tools that could change their life and change the world? So, and yeah, who does it belong to? Because if money makes you exhausted, what is it that you're resisting and reacting with this stuff? And how can you up the fun factor? So maybe get naked and do your finances. Like, put on some sexy lingerie. And, especially if you've got a partner in the household, like how much fun would that create? Or take your computer to the beach or to your local cafe to do your finances. Take yourself out for a nice meal and buy that expensive bottle of wine, once a week or once a month. And if you're in a relationship, business or personal, take your partner out for a meal and a nice bottle of wine and take your computers. That's where this having a date with your finances came from. Simone and Brennan used to do it because they didn't like sitting down and talking about money. So they would go to their favorite restaurant in Noosa, which was Wasabi a while ago, a fucking epic Japanese restaurant in Noosa. They would take their computers, they would drink cocktails, they would drink champagne, and they would go over their finances. So if you were having your financial reality, would this stuff be fun? Thank you, Natalie. Hugs to you too, my friend. Yeah, if it was your financial reality, would dealing with your finances actually be fun for you? And if it's not fun, is it actually your financial reality you're living in, or is it someone else's? Because I know growing up, if I looked to the people around me and the way their financial reality was, I would be seriously screwed up with money right now. There's not many people in my childhood that I looked, well, I don't know if there's anyone actually that I can think of where I would remember right now as seeing them as being an inspiration with money. Right now, I have a lot of people in my life that inspire me with money and how they play with and create in this area of their lives. But growing up, I mean, if I followed the lead here and didn't step out and start to create something different, I would be seriously fucked up right now. So what are you actually aware of with finances that no one ever showed you this? No one ever told you this. So hello, awareness. It's not actually something that anyone can ever teach you. It's something that you just know. So start asking for more of what your awareness of what your financial reality is to show up. What is my reality with finances and where do I find it? That's another great question. So I think that's it. I want to go and drink some more champagne. Thank you, Flavia. And enjoy my Sunday night. I've had a nice cruisy day. It's beautiful weather here in Australia. We're just moving into winter and the days are warm and the nights are cold. So I'm very happy. My body is very happy. And is avoiding finances a capacity we are avoiding? Well, I think anywhere where you're avoiding something, and I would be asking some questions around the distractor implants with that as well, Rosie. Like, what are you actually aware of, and what is your capacity with finances that you've just never been willing to acknowledge? And really, guys, the two questions with this stuff, like with actually starting to, like we've talked about some tools tonight, right? The 10% account, where you've uninvited money in your life today, and your financial, getting aware of your finances. But what if every day you asked, what is my financial reality and where do I find it? And what can I insert into my financial reality that will be perfect for creating the greatest future in the next 2 years? And everything that doesn't allow that, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Oh, 2 more very quick things. My awesome friends, Francesca Ferrantini and Mark Kerr, are doing a book club starting, I don't know when, but I will get the link and I will post it in the chat, and they're doing it on this book, Money Isn't the Problem, You Are. So this was written by Gary Douglas and Dane Here, the founder and co-creator of Access Consciousness. And they're doing a book club. I don't know, it'll probably be in 6 parts or something like that. I'll find the link to the Facebook event and I'll put it in the chat here in the video when it uploads. And I'm doing an intro class. God, I'm terrible. I don't even remember the date, but I will put it in here as well. It's based on the book by Simone Milasas called Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. It's a Getting Out of Debt Joyfully intro. It goes for 3 hours. It's online and it will be based on the book, the tools of the book. So I'm bringing it up on my computer now. It's on the 22nd of May. So in just under 3 weeks, and it will be 6 a.m. Australia time. So it's going to be midday-ish on the 21st in the States and starting at 10 p.m. CET on the 21st for Europe, well, for Central Europe. So I'll post Frenchie and Mark's book club and my Getting Out of Debt Joyfully intro in the chat, in the comments. Yeah. And then what else is possible with finances and fun and champagne? Thank you for being here with me, guys. I adore you. And what if you had way too much money and never enough? Bye-bye.